an objection is a reason for not going forward, but go deeper. It's an expression, it's a feeling of disapproval. It's so important that you understand their objections are usually not based on facts. 9 out of 10 times they're based on how they feel about the numbers, not the logic behind the numbers. What happens if they don't sign, right? So you got your thinking right? And of course, you presented the deal really well, professionally, positively, and you asked for the signature, you asked for the sale, and you assumed they would say yes, but they say no. They don't sign. They give you a reason for not signing. We call that an objection. An objection is any reason given to you for not going forward. Now, we are in closing and negotiating, and we're talking about those specific objections. And there are objections can happen throughout the sale. True? I'm just looking, right? What's your best price? Those are objections that our playbook talks about. We help you overcome those objections and continue the sale, right? That's all the way in sale number 1, sell yourself. We normally hear those. Those are objections as well. Now we've made it all the way to the agree set. We built relationship and trust. We reset their expectations on trade. We built value and desire. We got a today commitment. We reset their expectations with the value story for price. We did the dealership tour, right? We got a manager, EMI, and we're in it. We've done things well, and yet they don't sign, right? What do you do now? That's what this next section is going to help you with. We're going to help you overcome these objections. Let's start by understanding what an objection is and what types of objections you're likely going to face during the close. Okay, now we said an objection is a reason for not going forward, but go deeper. It's an expression, it's a feeling of disapproval. It's a what? It's a reason for opposition, for disagreeing. It's a feeling. In fact, you've got your manual in front of you. Circle the word feeling. It's so important that you understand their objections are usually not based on facts. 9 out of 10 times they're based on how they feel about the numbers, not the logic behind the numbers. It's their feelings they're saying. Okay, now there are really 3 types of basic objections. Let me walk you through these and then tell you some of the objections you're normally going to hear. There's 3 types. One is a product objection. The car's too small. I don't like the blue. I want leather. It pulls to the left. There's dents in it. Product objections is anything they say about the product that says, here's the reason I don't want to go forward. Now, we talk about that in the playbook, and we help you sell around objections that can be sold around. And if you can sell around and continue to sell, we do that. Sometimes you can't. We call that a condition. It must be met to go forward. But often we'll hear product objections. Number 2, we'll hear postponement objections. Postponement is any objection they use to delay deciding. I need to talk to my wife. I've got to pray about it overnight. I never do anything the first day. Stuff like that, blah, 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 blah. Those are all feelings, and we're going to talk about how to overcome this. Because listen, what they're really saying is, I'm not sold yet. Keep that in your mind. The 3rd type of objection we get is price. Now, in our closing and negotiating, this win-win closing negotiating course that you're doing, we're giving you the secrets to help your buyer feel comfortable saying yes more often. And I'm going to tell you that during your closing negotiation, if you've learned and mastered and utilized the sales process, there's really only one objection you could hear when presenting numbers to your buyer, and that's called a price objection. Why? Because the product objection should have been wiped out during the trial close. True or false, right? And when you ask the questions about the car, and what you think of the car, right? And you've got the when you're talking about performance and the equipment and the comfort, we're giving them a chance to say, I don't want this car. They didn't do that. We go into the service department on the dealership tour and we transfer ownership and they didn't say, I don't want this car. So guess what? We shouldn't hear product objections during the close. If we do, what they're normally using is hiding their opposition to your price in the product, okay? We shouldn't hear postponement. You shouldn't put numbers down and say, okay, then let me go talk to my wife. Well, if they didn't say that during the trial close, what they're probably telling you now is what? I don't like these numbers and I'm going to use my wife as an out. We'll talk more about that as we go through the course. So product and postponement should be eliminated through our trial close and our sales process, shouldn't it? So you're normally going to hear price objections, and they're going to come to you in one of 5 ways. I wrote down the most common 5 ways. Go ahead, write those in your manual. Remember, we're guiding you through this manual. We haven't talked about it to this point, but when you write something down, you're more likely to remember it. And we left you the blanks, and I know you've been filling them out. Keep doing that. Okay, one of the most common ones today is the trade. I got to have more for my trade, right? It's not enough for my trade. Number 2 is payment. I'm shooting this in December of 2022, and I'll tell you this, right now we're seeing payment catching up the trade. So the market changes, doesn't it? As the interest rates fluctuate right now, payment is actually taking over maybe as the number one objection, where for the last couple of years, it's been trade. It doesn't matter. We're going to be prepared for both. We know how to handle both. Number 3, price. I got to have a lower price. That happens less than you think, since 50% of the people have a trade, 74% finance. That's why you get trade and payment objections. Less people have price the actual selling price as an objection. Number 4, the trade difference. That is the selling price minus the trade value. I'll give you 30 grand plus my car. That's called the trade difference. Now, when I started selling cars in the 80s, that's what we dealt with. Trade difference all the time. I don't hear it that often, but you still hear it out there. Here's another one, out the door. I'll give you 50 grand out the door, right? They're saying wrap everything, wrap the taxes, wrap the fees, wrap everything needs to be wrapped up for this amount. All of these are price objections. They're all saying this is too much. They're all saying I want a better deal, or are they? Listen, we're going to talk about objections. Objections are feelings. And can I tell you something? Most salesmen hear, I want a better deal and I'm not buying. You know what I hear? Prove to me this is a great deal and I'll take it. And that's what you're going to hear when you complete this course.